Most empires are built slowly, brick by brick, over hundreds of years like a boring construction project. The Romans took a millennium, and the British took 5 centuries just to paint the world map pink. But in the 13th century, one man decided he didn't have that kind of patience and speed-ran world conquest in just 25 years. He conquered more land than Rome and Britain combined, stretching from the Pacific Ocean all the way to the doorstep of Europe. He did it without maps, without compasses, and without a supply chain, leading an army that lived entirely on their horses. To some, he was a visionary unifier. To others, he was a literal apocalypse on 4 legs. This is the story of the universal ruler, the man who nearly deleted civilization, Genghis Khan. But long before he was a Khan, he was just a scared kid named Temujin, born in 1162 on the brutal Mongolian steppe. Legend says he was born clutching a blood clot, a sign from the gods that he was destined to be a great warrior. Or maybe it was just a coincidence, but considering his future kill count, the gods were probably trying to warn us. Life on the steppe was essentially a battle royale. Tribes fought constantly over women, horses, and food. When Temujin was 9, his father Yasuge was poisoned by the Tatars, a rival tribe with a nasty habit of killing guests. Temujin should have become the chief, but his tribe said, "No thanks, we don't follow children," and abandoned his family. Left to die in the winter, his mother Holin had to dig for roots and hunt field mice just to keep her children alive. This period of starvation and humiliation rewired Temujin's brain to value one thing above all else: absolute power. The tension got so bad that when his half-brother Begter stole a fish from him, they didn't have a family meeting about it. Instead, Temujin and his younger brother stalked Begter and shot him with arrows, killing him over a snack. His mother was furious, calling him a killer, but Temujin realized that in this world, only the ruthless get to eat. Things got worse when he was captured by a rival clan and forced to wear a heavy wooden kanj around his neck as a slave. One night, he used that very wooden board to smash a guard's head and escaped, proving he was impossible to keep down. He needed allies, so he reconnected with his childhood blood brother, Jamuka, who was rising as a powerful young leader. But their friendship was doomed because the steppe wasn't big enough for 2 sons or 2 massive egos. Temujin started doing something radical. He broke the feudal tradition of promoting people based on their family lineage. He declared, "I don't care who your daddy is. If you fight well and stay loyal, you become a general." This concept of meritocracy attracted thousands of poor warriors to his side, building him a fanatically loyal army. By 1206, he had defeated all rivals, including his blood brother Jamuka, and united the Mongol tribes for the first time. The tribes gathered and gave him a new title, Genghis Khan, meaning the Oceanic, or Universal Ruler. Now he had a massive army, but he needed to organize them, so he invented the decimal system for warfare. An Arban was 10 men, a Zun was 100, a Mingan was 1,000, and a Tumen was 10,000 soldiers. Loyalty was absolute. If one man in an Arban fled from battle, the other 9 would be executed as punishment. Every soldier was a horse archer, carrying a compound bow that could shoot 500 meters with deadly accuracy. They could shoot while galloping and even turn their bodies to shoot backward, a technique known as the Parthian shot. This made them impossible to chase. If you ran after them, you just died tired with an arrow in your face. Their logistics were also insane. Each soldier had 3 or 4 horses, allowing them to travel up to 100 miles a day. If they ran out of food, they would nick a horse's vein, drink some blood for protein, and keep riding. Gross, but efficient. They wore silk shirts under their armor, not for fashion, but because arrowheads wouldn't break the silk, making extraction easier. They utilized a massive spy network, sending scouts months in advance to map out terrain and spread rumors to terrify the enemy. "I heard the Mongols are 10 feet tall and eat babies." By the time the army arrived, the enemy was already shaking. With the ultimate war machine ready, Genghis looked south toward the wealthy empires of China. It was time to stop fighting for survival and start fighting for conquest. The world tour had begun. First up was the Western Xia, a kingdom that served as a warm-up exercise for the Mongols to learn siege warfare. Then came the big boss, the Jin dynasty in northern China, which had millions of citizens and massive walled cities. The Mongols were open-field fighters. They looked at the Great Wall and probably thought, well, that's annoying. But Genghis was smart. Instead of attacking the wall, he simply bribed the guards or found ways around it. When he reached Beijing, he didn't know how to break the walls, so he captured Chinese engineers and forced them to help. Build me a catapult, or you will be the ammo. Surprisingly, this management style was very effective. They surrounded the city and waited, starving the population until they were too weak to fight back. When Beijing finally fell in 1215, the destruction was so vast that witnesses said the streets were slippery with human fat. Genghis took the gold, the silk, and the artists, leaving the city in ruins as a warning to everyone else. With China partially subdued, Genghis actually wanted to chill and establish trade routes with the West. He looked toward the Khwarazmian Empire in Persia, thinking, hey, let's make some money together. He sent a massive caravan of 500 camels and merchants to the city of Otrar to open official trade relations. But the local governor Inalchuk got greedy, accused them of being spies, and executed the merchants. Genghis was angry, but tried diplomacy one last time, sending 3 ambassadors directly to the Sultan Muhammad II. The Sultan made the worst decision in human history. He shaved the ambassadors' beards and sent their heads back in a box. You do not kill Mongol ambassadors. It is the one rule you simply do not break. Genghis climbed a mountain, prayed to the sky god Tengri, and said, I am not the author of this trouble. Then he unleashed hell, marching 200,000 soldiers westward to wipe Khwarazmia off the face of the earth. The Sultan had more soldiers, but he spread them out in different cities, which allowed the Mongols to pick them off one by one. When the Mongols captured the greedy governor Inalchuk, legend says they poured molten silver into his eyes and ears. They reached the rich city of Bukhara, and Genghis gathered the citizens in the great mosque to give a speech. I am the punishment of God. If you had not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you. Then they burned the city down, diverted rivers to destroy foundations, and killed almost everyone in sight. The destruction was so complete that the irrigation systems of Persia were ruined for centuries, turning farmland into desert. Sultan Muhammad II ran for his life, chased by Mongol dogs across his own empire, until he died on a lonely island. While Genghis was destroying Persia, his top generals, Subutai and Jabi, asked permission to go on a little road trip west. This became the Great Raid, a reconnaissance mission where 20,000 Mongols defeated the Georgians and the Russians. At the Battle of Kalka River, they crushed the Russian princes, using the feigned retreat to lure them into a slaughter. After the victory, they famously dined on top of wooden planks, crushing the surviving princes underneath as party entertainment. They circled back to home, having scouted the path for a future invasion that would terrify Europe for generations. Genghis Khan returned to Mongolia to deal with a rebellion in western Xia, but his health was failing. In 1227, the man who conquered the world died, possibly from falling off his horse or from illness. But the empire didn't die with him. In fact, his sons and grandsons expanded it even further into Korea, Poland, and Hungary. Oddly enough, this empire built on blood created an era of unprecedented peace and stability called the Pax Mongolica. The Mongols made the Silk Road safe again, wiping out bandits so efficiently that trade boomed like never before. It was said a virgin carrying a sack of gold could travel from one end of the empire to the other unharmed. They established the Yam, a postal system with relay stations every 20 to 30 miles, stocked with fresh horses and food. Messengers with a special paisa passport could travel 200 miles a day, the fastest communication until the telegraph. Genghis also created the yasa, a unified code of law that forbade kidnapping women and stealing animals. Most surprisingly, he established total religious freedom, allowing Buddhists, Muslims, Christians, and Taoists to preach freely. He exempted priests and doctors from taxes, which is probably why everyone prayed for his health. Under Mongol rule, ideas flowed freely. Gunpowder, paper, and printing press technology moved from east to west. Without this transfer of technology, Europe might have remained in the Dark Ages for much longer. But let's not romanticize it too much. If you didn't pay your taxes or rebelled, they would still wipe out your city. It was a peace enforced by the constant threat of total annihilation, which is effective, I guess. After Genghis died, his soldiers went to extreme lengths to keep his burial site a secret. They diverted a river over his grave and then killed the slaves who built it and the soldiers who killed the slaves. To this day, despite modern technology, no one has ever found the tomb of Genghis Khan. His empire eventually fractured into 4 separate khanates, which slowly assimilated into the local cultures. The Yuan dynasty ruled China, the Golden Horde ruled Russia, the Ilkhanate ruled Persia, and the Chagatai ruled Central Asia. The Mongols didn't just change borders, they changed the genetic makeup of the human race. A genetic study found that 1 in 200 men alive today are direct descendants of Genghis Khan. That is roughly 16 million people, which means his family reunions would be absolute chaos. So, how do we judge him? Was he a brutal tyrant who killed millions of innocent people? Yes. Was he a strategic genius who connected the world and shaped modern history? Also, yes. He showed the world that a unified, disciplined force could overcome any wall, any army, and any distance. He started as an outcast eating field mice and ended as the ruler of the world. History is filled with monsters and heroes, but Genghis Khan was a force of nature that was both. Check if you have Mongol DNA by hitting that subscribe button and maybe conquer the like button while you're at it. Let me know in the comments. Could a modern army survive on horse milk? Thanks for watching.